Put down your baby and pick up a beer. Dad Jokes is back with a brand new episode. I'm Jerry, joined here by Brandon, and you're listening to the podcast of two first-time dads going through the journey of fatherhood together with all of you listening. Brandon, what is going on? I haven't seen you, and it seems like forever. We usually see each other every day, but it's been a little bit.
Yeah, you've been in the Sin City for the last little bit, which I'm sure you'll get to. But it's been an eventful week and a half, 2 weeks for both of us, I think.
Yeah, it definitely.
I know you miss me more than anyone else.
Oh, I know. We couldn't wait to get back just to see you. That's kind of what we've been waiting for. But yeah, like you mentioned, we were off for a week, so it seems like it's been a while. We got a lot to catch up on. But before we do that, let's do the thing that the show's named after and hit the folks with a dad joke. You got one for me?
I do. Jerry, have you seen what Mount Rushmore looked like before it was carved?
Rock.
It probably, I mean, it was rock, but its natural beauty was unprecedented.
That's good. I like that. That's clever. That was clever.
I liked it.
That one's good. I thought
that was a Jerry joke. I got away from the PG-13.
That was a good one.
That was a Jerry joke.
I had a good PG-13 one and I forgot it, so mine's clean today too. But I'm gonna find it at some point. I think I saved it somewhere. I can't remember what it was. But I like it.
The best jokes that I see, I feel like I don't want to say on the podcast.
Well,
they can get pretty good.
Yeah, Macy gave me one the other day that I was like, I can't say that, but it was pretty funny actually. So that I have to remember what it was. I just remember hearing it going, I can't say that. I'll have to send you. It was.
We have to come up with like a dad jokes after dark, like
exactly.
Separate feed with just jokes.
There's like a button when we put out the podcast too that says like explicit, like just one random episode is gonna be explicit or something. That'd be funny. But Brandon, what's been going on? What's happening with you guys and Bryce?
So. I technically have 2 weeks of updates that I should be giving you guys, but I don't remember anything past this last week. Kelsey was gone for her first extended trip. She had a work trip to San Diego. So that was basically all of this week, starting on Monday, and essentially came back on Friday. So it was Bryce and I, with the help of my parents, basically hanging out all week, which was... It was fun, but towards the end, he started to get a little sick, which is the topic of this week's episode. But, I mean, one, and watching him, and Kelsey's going to roll her eyes when I say this, it just, like, kind of hones down on a point. Like, so much respect to the single moms and single dads out there, because... It all in all really was not difficult for this, but I knew I had to end. Like, it was a 4.5 day stretch basically of watching them, and I'm doing this. I'm picking them up from my parents' house like halfway through the day, so it's not like I don't have them all day. And it was great. Like, I feel like him and I got a chance to hang out and like solo in ways we hadn't got to before, but. It also kind of makes you think about the people who have no choice and they're doing it by themselves, and I cannot like imagine that, and doing it with multiples too.
Well, it makes you appreciate the 10 minutes you get every now and then when your spouse has them or something like that too. Like, you don't notice it because you're still doing a ton of stuff, but like when it's just you, there's not even like the 10 minutes or the 2 minutes to go take a leak or something, you're like kind of going back and forth between trying to do 100 things. So yeah, definitely a couple days by yourself will make you appreciate all those single parents out there, and then also make you appreciate your spouse a little bit more probably too.
Without question. And what worked out, you've seen it. We started to kind of put our basement together a little bit. And so Bryce has his own area down here. So we spent a lot of time in the basement, and it wasn't for the reasons that people may think. I didn't even have the TV on down here. But we have his nugget couch set up and a bunch of toys, but it's a wide open area for him to pretty much just crawl around, and I can like basically watch him play without really having to worry about him getting into anything, because there's nothing to get into down here. So we spent a ton of time down here. I was actually using the nugget couch more than he was, and just running around the basement doing his thing, which was fun. But he is, towards the end of the week, he is the sickest I've ever seen him. it just took. I was telling you before we pressed play. It took Kelsey and I both to put him down today. She's gonna listen to this and say it was mostly her. He was definitely snuggled up on mom, and he was super excited to see her when she came back as well. She woke him up in the middle, like didn't wake him up. He woke up in the middle of the night because he wasn't feeling good when she came, and he loved it. But ultimately, it's been a tough couple of days, and we'll get into it a little bit more with our topic today. But one thing that jumped out to me is I think he has like a viral infection, and his breath stinks.
Oh.
Like it's not good at all. Like, and it, to the point where like we both like. He took a shower with his mom. He took a bath today. We're like, what? We thought it was his breath, but we just like making sure we didn't miss anything.
Right.
And and you look it up. It's a sign. And you actually don't want to. It's something we want to talk to the doctor about beginning of the week, if it doesn't go away. But it is like he smells sick. It's kind of nuts.
That is one we haven't experienced yet. I can't say that
we hadn't experienced it either to that point, but the boy breath stank.
Well, that's no fun. A sick baby isn't fun. It's kind of
it's not fun.
It's odd today, like you kind of alluded to. We're going to talk about having a sick kid, and that topic kind of came because actually Peyton was sick, and this was 2 weeks ago. So yeah, she was sick. Pretty bad, and we think it was just teething, but her temperature was really high. It was like 103 for a couple days. She was probably had a fever for 3 to going into 4 days, so it wasn't a short-term thing, and she was just miserable, but you could tell she was sick, and we'll go more into that later, but that's kind of how our week started. The tough part was leading up to when we were going to be gone. We were taking a trip to Las Vegas for our anniversary for a few days, and we were kind of nervous that she was going to be really sick for when we left. But she started feeling better a couple days beforehand and being back to her normal self. So that was good. So when we left, she wasn't sick for Grandma and Grandpa. And it was kind of nice because we had my parents and Macy's parents watch her for a couple days. And she did pretty good, according to them at least. A lot of stuff FaceTime while we were gone. And we had a great trip. So that was nice as well. It's kind of funny, Brandon, when you have a kid and you go on a trip, there's definitely pros and cons to it. The negative side is obviously you're dealing with missing your kid, so it kind of maybe takes away a little bit from the trip. But on the positive side, usually when the trip's ending, you're kind of in a bad mood. You're going home, trip's over, but it's actually something exciting. So when we came back, instead of being like, oh, our trip's over, it's a happy day. You're happy for those reasons. So that's kind of one of the nice little perks, when you're coming home to a kid and to a dog. As she's snoring in the corner right now.
Something that people don't necessarily think about, that this is the first time this came up for us, was the time zone difference, which you experienced as well. Like Kelsey she was in meetings until 6:00 their time, or California time, which Pacific time. I guess I should be specific.
Nice.
But Bryce goes to bed between 7:30 and 8 every night, so it's kind of strategically finding time to get 5-10 minute FaceTimes in while she's coming in and out of meetings, either with my parents or with me. That was actually an underrated tough part of her being where she was at, if there's a tough part about being in San Diego.
It's funny you mentioned that we kind of struggle with that a little bit too, because when we were waking up, we tried to FaceTime her pretty early, but she was down for a nap a couple days, and then you were trying to do it. And we found ways. We definitely FaceTimed her. My mom the one day said that we FaceTimed like 45 times, which was a slight exaggeration, but we did try to FaceTime a decent amount, and definitely get lots of pictures and get updates. So that was fun. And then when we came back, it was funny. She met us at the airport. When my stepdad picked us up, she was kind of shy at first, like almost overwhelmed, but then she warmed right up and was doing good. In the last few days since we've been back, she's definitely been attached to Mom. And she's been happy, but she's been attached to Macy. Definitely, even worse than when
Bryce
we left.
has been the same.
Yeah, she's like all over her and like wants to be held too. Which normally she's not someone that likes to be held a lot. Like she wants you near, but she doesn't need to be held by you. But she's been wanting Macy to hold her and be close by. So even when I started putting her down, she was upset because Macy left. Now I got her calm pretty quick, but she's been attached to mom. So I'm hoping tomorrow Macy works tomorrow and I'm home on Sunday. So it's gonna be just me and her all day. So I gotta get back on her good side and get her back to being a daddy's girl instead of mama's girl. So that's my goal tomorrow.
Well, good luck with that because you're gonna lose that battle.
Yeah, I'm gonna lose it.
You probably got like a year and a half.
Well, it's great. I don't know if you ever experienced this, Brandon, but like when I'm home alone with her, and I am home alone for large periods of times, a decent amount because Macy works weekends and stuff. But she'll be all about dad. I'll be feeling great, and just until the second that the door opens at night and mom comes walking in, and it just all goes out the window because you're like, yeah, she's been all about me today. We've been having a great time. She's not even care when mom gets here. Now. Doesn't usually work. She was like a week where she didn't, and Macy was crushed by it, but that's about it.
Yeah, Bryce gives me like six minutes every like I don't know 30 days where he'll prefer me over his mom, and especially not right now. Like
Nice.
when he's sick, and I might be hearing things, but I swear he says "mama," like when he's sick and crying. He's like crying her name.
Yeah.
So it definitely not me.
Well, our time's coming because I
Especially
heard it
not
comes
after I
back
talk about his
around. I think it comes back around is what they say. Is little girls tend to.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not worried about once he can like talk and understand and walk. He's gonna realize how much cooler I am than she is.
Exactly. So we just got to stick in there for this phase. Well, or that's why you have a second one, just because the first one doesn't like you as much as mom. Then you have another one, right? Just keep having them until you get one that likes you the best.
Pray for me, fellas. She's gonna listen to this on Tuesday, and I'm definitely gonna get a text.
That's funny. But yeah, it's been eventful the last 2 weeks. Coming back today, I had to work, and Macy was supposed to work. Luckily, she got mandated off, which was nice for her because she got to spend some extra time with Peyton today. So that was nice, and we were able to get some stuff done so that tomorrow I can basically just have Sunday fun day with her. So I'm excited for that. But definitely the sick part at the beginning of the week, I feel for you because that's rough. I mean, that's what prompted, like I said, us having this topic today is because sometimes there's just things when your kid's sick that you don't appreciate until you have the kid and they're actually sick. You know what I mean? Hearing about it, reading about it, seeing it is one thing, but actually going through it is different. So we'll get into that here shortly. But you have some baby gear. Let's hear the baby gear that you want to go over.
Well, and actually, you made me think about it. I do have a thing my wife said that involves you.
Involves me. Oh,
both
great.
of you guys. Because, it was half an hour ago. Bryce is probably giving us the hardest time to go to bed that he ever has. We had to take him out of his nursery. We both laid in a bed with him, got him like calmed down. He was crying for a while, and he's been cry whining all day. He'll have spots of being fine, or he'll be crying while he's like playing and stuff like that. But she looked at me and she was like, "Man, I don't know how Jerry and Macy did this for 3 or 4 months." So it did put stuff in perspective. Like, we can deal with this for a few days. You guys had to deal with it for a little bit longer than that, obviously.
We didn't know any better though, which
said.
is
I know.
Is not that it makes it good, but like the funny part is now when she was sick and she was like probably similar to what Bryce is now, it's harder because you've had the good nights now. You know, you've had the times where she's not crying all day. So it is hard once you've experienced kind of like good behavior, because early on don't get me wrong, it was tough and like what to do, but it became normal. But now it's almost accentuated when she does it. It's like, okay, we're not going back to this. As I'm talking to you too, I think she's up for the second time already tonight. So I'm hoping that she's not reverting back. She's been a little bit finicky since we got back. I think she's just going through some stuff.
This hasn't been Bryce's greatest sleep week, which I don't know if it's my fault or the fact that his mom left, but I think we both are kind of on duty, so we're gonna make this a very efficient episode today. But you brought up baby gear. Two things that I have that are topical for what we're gonna go over today. One is the nose treater. We've been using that every day in the last few days. For those who haven't heard us mention it before, it's basically a glorified snot sucker, or that's exactly what it is. But it can help significantly if your kid's congested. Helps clear some of that mucus out through their nose and nasal passages, and can help them sleep a lot better and get through the day a little bit better as well. And then Frida Baby has a pacifier to let you kind of put, it's like a syringe as well that lets you put medicine right in it. So if we use that a ton in the beginning. Let me not say a ton. It's perspective. Like when Bryce was sick and we needed to give him medicine, we started off using that. Now he just kind of he's fine just taking the little syringe of medicine right in his mouth. But that is something that came in handy a ton in the beginning.
Yeah, those definitely, we have both of those. Those are clutch. Actually, the nose Frida, one of our mutual friends who lives nearby, their baby was sick, and they came over to steal it because it was late at night, and none of the stores were open. So that's how important that is when your kid's sick. So it's definitely both come in clutch.
I could have swore you said you would never use that.
I don't.
Am I wrong?
I don't use it.
Oh, okay. You still don't.
No, I use the little bulb thing, but yeah, I won't do that. Macy does that.
Yeah,
we have the pediatrician.
The nose feeder, it works way better.
Oh, for sure, but I don't do it. Nope, can't.
I've sucked it right out of his nose without anything before.
No, I can't. One thing I didn't.
The nose feeder wasn't available.
One thing I never used to do, but now I do sometimes is like she's freaking, she got boogers hanging in her nose, and Macy used to always just like get them out with her finger, and like what I'm like, but now sometimes they just be hanging there, and you gotta get them out because otherwise it's gonna end up on the carpet.
You got a problem with your kids' boogers. You touch their poop sometimes.
I know.
The boogers.
No, not anymore. But like, I don't know.
I'm sorry. For the kids listening, we're talking about boogies.
Boogies, exactly.
We gotta call them right boogies.
I like it. But Brandon, yeah, we're gonna talk about having a sick kid today. And kind of just everything that encompasses that. Because I think the big thing, for me, like I said, I kind of talked about a little bit earlier, but there's something different when your kid's sick. It's hard to explain, but when your kid's sick, you just feel so helpless as a parent because...
Oh, yeah, it sucks.
It's so hard because you can tell they're sick. Like Peyton, when she was sick this last time, she's like a little oven. She's burning up. There's only so much you can do. They can't verbalize what they're feeling, and I mean it's the worst. You just want to like take away their pain because you can tell they don't feel good, and I don't know, it's something that it just messes with you more than I think you think it would. Like it honestly, it messes with me more than I would have anticipated, because normally I'm just like, okay, they're sick, they're gonna get better, it's fine, but you don't, in the back of your head there's always that, what if it's not just her tooth, right? Like she has a tooth coming in, okay, it's her tooth. But then it's like, what if it's not just the tooth? Or what if it's not just a viral thing? Or what if it's not just whatever you think it is? Because it's really hard to actually know. So that's I guess where I'll start is just saying that it's tough. So anyone who's gone through it, and if you haven't yet, I'm going to just warn you, it's tough to see your kid sick.
Well, I think the big thing there is there's still that communication barrier. As much as you may know your kid, when they're wailing, because a lot of times that's when it's the toughest, is they're screaming and you don't quite for sure know why. You got some guesses, but it's exactly what you said. Like, am I right about this? And then if they're to the point where they're inconsolable and you're almost just you're doing everything you can to try to comfort them and it's not working. I mean, it's tough. It's because you're watching someone you love go through what seems like a ton of pain. But I think, to me, it's probably tougher right now and in these stages, the first like 2 to 3 years, because they can't tell you like my throat hurts or my tooth hurts or my arm hurts or whatever, and you don't really know what's going on. But that's definitely tough. Kelsey looked at me today, and I thought she was gonna start crying while we were trying to put her to bed. And she didn't, but it's like you're on the verge of tears just trying to help your kid out. And I don't know. It's something that we all kind of
Right.
you kind of get used to, but then we end up signing right back up for it again.
And, yeah, because kids get sick a lot. That's the other thing too. So what can you do to potentially help? Well, one, again, as we've said a million times before, we're not pediatricians. Talk to your pediatrician. That's one of the first things you can do. I will warn you, oftentimes the pediatrician's probably not going to give you a magic cure, which is kind of frustrating because it's not their fault. Don't get me wrong. But as a parent, when your kid's sick, you want to call the pediatrician and them to be like, oh, you're just going to give them 1 grape and 2 drops of water and they'll feel all better, whatever it is. But obviously that's
Actually,
not the way it works.
Don't give them a grape.
Don't give them a grape. That's probably the last thing to give them. If your pediatrician says that, actually find a new one.
Yeah, fire the pediatrician.
But you know what I'm saying, Brandon. You want to call them. You want to get the answers. You want them to tell you what it is that's going to make everything fine. But usually they're going to say the exact same things. They're going to say, okay, well, how high is the fever? Okay, well, try to keep their fever down. In order to do so, you can give them a small dose of Tylenol, maybe children's Motrin or ibuprofen, and, try to let them get some sleep, water, warm bath, those types of things. And after you've done all those and nothing seems to be working, that's when it becomes really tough because, sicknesses need to run their course. And also the other thing that I struggle with too is you don't want to be giving your kid, Tylenol or any kind of drugs constantly, right? So you don't want to just that to be the answer every single time. So I know I always try to hold off until the last second, but at some point in time, if nothing's helping and they can't even fall asleep because they're so sick, you got to find out what you can do. So one thing I learned actually, and Macy being a pediatric nurse and then a nurse in the NICU, she's like a lot of times what they'll do at the hospital is they'll rotate Tylenol and ibuprofen. So you're not giving them a bunch of Tylenol a day or ibuprofen. You rotate them, at the a lot of times that you're supposed to with the proper dosages, and that can help too. Also, one might be more effective than the other for your child, and it lets you kind of maybe gauge that as well.
Yeah, and I'll actually start there with my notes. Reasons to call the pediatrician, because it's sometimes frustrating because you feel like basically the advice you're given is either something you could Google or go home and wait it out, which doesn't always feel great as a parent. But the number one thing I would say, and I'm going to run down a list because I just kind of came up with the list through a little bit of research of reasons why you actually should call a pediatrician. But to start, if you have any questions or you feel like something may be wrong or you just feel like you need to call a pediatrician, that's what they're there for. Call them. Even if you get the advice is like, there's nothing to worry about, let's wait it out, or give it a few days and then touch base with us, that still gives you some peace of mind, and your child better than anyone else. You spend all day with them, so they can't advocate for themselves. You have to advocate for them. So that's the soapbox for the pediatrician. But a few things to run through. If your kid's 1 to 2 months old, have a temperature of technically 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit or 38 degrees Celsius is what's considered a fever. If they're 1 to 2 months old, that's something that you definitely want to consult your pediatrician about that early on. This kind of goes without saying, but sometimes babies can become lethargic, so they're not responsive or having trouble waking up. That's a reason to call your pediatrician immediately. If they've been sick and have slept through 2 feeds in a row, that's something that's potentially a little worrisome that you want to consult your doctor about. Difficulty breathing, prolonged or fast breathing, so like 60 breaths in a minute. Blueness in chest or inside of mouth. If you have like an outlet at home that's tracking oxygen and they are less than 92% oxygen level, and then if there's been more than 8 to 10 hours without a wet diaper, those are all reasons to get in contact with your pediatrician. Those are not necessarily waited out situations.
Yeah, and it's funny too because when Peyton's been sick, there's always some point in time where I inevitably go to Macy, hey, should we take her in? Or should we think about taking her, in right now? And she always looks at me and goes,
oh, I forgot one point. Sorry, Jerry.
Yeah?
Or you can marry a pediatric nurse and never have to worry about calling a pediatrician.
Well, it's just funny because I always ask her that, and she always just looks at me And she's like, for what? She's like, we can take her in and they're going to do the exact same thing we can do here at home. They're just going to rotate medication.
You probably, from her, I never thought about this, but from her position, you probably are very annoying.
Oh,
to
for
be in
sure.
the house
She's very
with
like
a sick kid.
calm.
She went to school for this.
Yeah, she's like calm about it.
She went to school for this, and you probably are like,
I'm freaking
20
out.
minutes into a Google a Google page.
I am. Yeah. Hey, WebMD
and trying to tell her what you're supposed to do.
Her fever's
I'm so
over
sorry,
this.
Macy.
Yeah, it's not good. I always freak out. And she's like, just like, it'll be fine. And I'm all like, we shouldn't do this. And she does this stuff all day.
It's not like she hasn't seen worse.
I know. I'm just. You know how it is. It probably jades her a little bit in a good way.
No, I don't know how it is. I'm not married to a pediatric nurse, Jerry. Guess what I'm not going to do? If somebody has if Bryce gets older and has questions on environmental health and safety and audits, I'm not going to do a Google search and tell Kelsey the right answer to it.
I don't know. I just know that I inevitably am trying to convince her that maybe we need to go in, and she's right. She always convinces me not to, and it always ends up being okay. But it's just, you want to do whatever you can to help them, and at some point in time you feel like you're not, but it just needs to run its course a lot of the times. That doesn't mean that you, again, don't do your due diligence or you don't talk to your pediatrician, but sometimes stuff just takes some time. Like this last time, it took 3-4 days, but she was good after that. But like you mentioned, Brandon, the fever is obviously the biggest sign typically, but not wanting to eat, not showing a lot of personality. That was another thing that was kind of noticeable really early on, is that she didn't want to do much, and Peyton always wants to be doing something, and she just wanted to be held, which she almost never wants to be held. So those are big signs as well. And then you can tell they're coming out of it. Same thing. They start having lower fever and they start wanting to be more active, showing more of their personality back. So, again, another thing too, they tell you if your baby does have a fever, you're not supposed to, sometimes as an adult, if you have a fever, you'll take a cold shower and stuff. They tell you not to do that. That actually you shouldn't put them in colder water, try to get their temperature down that way. That doesn't work for young kids. You can give them a bath, but they tell you to be like a warm bath, not hot, but warm. You don't want it to be cold. You don't want to try to break their fever, so to speak. So that's something that I learned through probably Google or something when she was sick. But that's another pointer I'll throw out there, Brandon.
With everything you say, we'll just say that Macy's told you, and you have an expert opinion on it.
Exactly. I have an expert at home opinion. Yeah.
So a few things that I wanted to go through. I have kind of subheaders, or what to expect. So how do you know your kid's sick? Fevers, when to treat them. How long do viral illnesses normally last? Keys for getting better. How to keep your baby hydrated, and how to get them breathing easily. So a couple things to start. Obviously, Jerry, jump in as I kind of go through it. But how do you know your baby actually may be sick? Where there's a few signs there. They may be more tired than normal, not wanting to eat as much, wanting to sleep more, and in our case with Bryce, potentially be more cuddly. Like the kid's not really cuddly anymore unless he's sleepy or sick. So if you know they're not supposed to be sleepy, that could be a sign as well. And then obviously there's a difference between kind of a cold and actual illness and things like that you kind of have to watch out for. But in addition to that, we've been talking about fevers this entire time. Already hit on the fact that if your child's less than 2 months old, you absolutely want to contact your doctor immediately. Fevers themselves aren't actually necessarily dangerous. It's kind of our body's natural way to fight against infection, but they can speed up the dehydration process. So that kind of will bring us to, I'm going to jump ahead, but keeping your baby as hydrated as possible is super important. So one thing that we've been doing during this time, Bryce has been on solids, and we've been basically getting him off of the bottle and formula. So he's down from a total number of bottles a day perspective. But you may notice that your child isn't eating solids as much if they're not feeling well. And the best way to still keep them hydrated is not necessarily just feeding them water. It's still giving them breast milk, giving them formula, and that may mean increasing it while they're not feeling well. So he's gotten a couple bottles here in the last few days. Kelsey also has some breast milk frozen, so she is it unthawed or thawed? She thawed it out.
She unthawed it. No, thawed it.
Unthawed
yeah, no.
it. Thank you. See, exactly. It confuses me.
Yeah, no, she thawed it.
Tell us in the comments.
I don't know. That's a good point. You got me confused, but no,
Yeah.
that is true, Brandon. That's actually a really good point. Is they do say that breast milk and like formula and stuff is really important when a baby's sick and can help. And also another sign that they are still breastfeeding, they'll want to feed possibly more frequently because basically the nutrients and everything in it helps them feel better. So that is something that definitely was noticeable with Peyton too. She was wanting to feed more frequently. I think it's a comfort thing too for them. So, but definitely it's good. It's good for them. It keeps them hydrated, like you said, and also gets them other things that can help them get over their illness quicker.
Yeah, and what's so crazy to me is like a woman's body is so smart that they can tell from the saliva in their baby that they're sick, and then they create like basically the right formula in breast milk, no pun intended, to help fight the illness. So if you are still breastfeeding, as Jerry mentioned, your baby may want to breastfeed more, but that also it can really do nothing but help because your body is in tune with theirs and will naturally help kind of fight things off. But for most viral illnesses, which is kind of what you'll see more than anything else in the beginning, to get over it, your baby needs to stay hydrated, as we mentioned, and be able to breathe as easily as possible. We kind of already went over how to keep them hydrated, how you can help them breathe easier, and this is something we actually did today. We actually ran like we were giving a bath anyway, but we ran the shower like super hot to start, and him and I sat in there for probably 5 minutes. It's almost like a steam room. It's kind of the same stuff that you think about when you like as adults or young adults you do. I didn't grab any Vicks Vapor Rub or anything like that. Obviously, that may be a little bit too strong for them. But Tubby Tide does make like an ointment that you can put on the bottom of their feet. We did that as well. That kind of can help with breathing as well. If your kid's staying hydrated and you are finding ways to help aid them in breathing, chances are they're gonna get over the sickness a little bit sooner.
Yeah, those are all good points. The other thing too is like depending on, like I know Peyton normally sleeps in pajamas that are like long sleeves and short sleeves, but when she was sick, we would put her in just like a onesie and like a sleep sack, so it was a little bit lighter. She's not as hot, and then her room, we made sure that it was at a good temperature and whatnot, just to keep her a little bit cooler so she was comfortable. Again, not trying to freeze her out or nothing crazy like that, but just wanted to make sure she was comfortable because, their little bodies get so hot. That's something that's amazing to me too. Like, you know how like moms are always like touching kids' heads, and I'm like, you can't tell. Well, you can tell with a baby without a doubt. Like you'd touch her and it was like, yeah, she's got a fever. It was no question about it. It's just how high. So, loose fitting clothes, making sure they're comfortable. We had her in a diaper oftentimes too, during the day. Like she was just kind of hanging around in a diaper instead of putting her in warm clothes or trying to get her body overheated or anything like that. And so that seems to at least keep her temperature down somewhat.
Yeah, that's actually a point I saw as well, is making sure their room isn't too warm and making sure they're not over bundled. And one thing that kind of jumped out at me, I think I knew this, but I can't remember because this whole thing is kind of a blur. But you're not really supposed to give Motrin or ibuprofen before 6 months unless it's recommended by your doctor, which I believe actually is what I can't remember. I may have to go back and listen to an episode. But Tylenol or acetaminophen is what's recommended to treat fever. Pretty much the entire time. We do exactly what you just mentioned. We rotate them now when we're in that position. So we go back and forth between Tylenol and Motrin. But you're really not supposed to give Motrin before 6 months without doctor approval.
Well, this is actually a fun fact that I learned this time that kind of blew my mind. But Macy's, obviously, because she's the trained professional, knew this. But infant Tylenol and children's Tylenol are like the same now. The same dosage. Because I guess they were having issues with like people.
I didn't know that.
So I didn't know that. So she went to the store because we were running low, and she came back, and I was like, "Oh, Macy, it's children's Tylenol." Which why I should have known better that she knows what she's doing. But then she's like,
I called this already.
Yeah. She's like, the dosage is the same, and it says the same. It says like whatever per milliliters, and it was the exact same. And she's like, "Yeah, it's like the same now." Because I think what she was saying is, and I'd have to ask her to make sure, but I'm pretty sure what she was saying is that people would like mess it up. Like they'd give like infants children's Tylenol because they thought it was the right one, and vice versa. And a lot of those bottles and stuff are crazy too, Brandon, because they'll say like, talk to your doctor if they're under 2, even though like it is okay. It's like still like the dosage is according to them or whatnot. But
the doctor told us to go get it.
Right.
This may have been the Benadryl. I can't remember, but told us to go get it. I'm reading all the warnings. I'm Googling. And I'm like, this says I'm not supposed to get this.
I know. I done the same thing, and I'm like, what?
Out.
Yeah, you like read it, and you're like, it says not to, but the doctor's telling you to do it. But yeah, like I know with the Tylenol, I mean, always look at the dosage, make sure it's accurate, but like it's about the same. And then again, to rotate them, we'd only ever given her Tylenol before, and not that frequently. But this last time, we'd given her Tylenol a couple times, and it wasn't helping much. So I went during work, got some of the Motrin, and we gave that to her. I think only once, but it seemed to like work a little bit better. I don't know if it was just because she was already starting to get over the illness, or because it helped more. But it's not a bad idea to have both on hand because it can't hurt. Yeah,
and one other thing that jumped out at me, I saw a doctor actually said this, depending on how old your child is. So the most accurate forms of like getting a good reading from a thermometer are actually rectal or oral, and so they actually dip. These are 2 doctors that I saw. They dip their like thermometer to the end in like something their kids like. So they dipped it in like a couple grains of sugar actually. I don't know if I'd go that far, but these are doctors, and because their kid would not keep the thermometer in her mouth, so that let them keep it in there long enough to get a good reading, and it worked out for them. So if we use like the forehead and ear thermometer with Bryce, but if you are struggling with any kind of oral thermometer, maybe dip it in something your kid may like.
Yeah, we got
within reason.
We got like the forehead one that shoots now, and the one problem with that is like you do it and it'd be like
you got the COVID thermometer.
Yeah, but you would do it and it'd be like 97, and then you do it like, and it'd be like 104. You know, you'd be like, whoa, time.
Yeah.
And plus the baby's moving because it doesn't like it. But I don't know.
Yeah.
We have another one too that's like an armpit, like just like the one you're describing.
Mm-hmm.
So we started using that one more because the other one's way more convenient. But we were getting readings all over the place, and some of them were kind of like almost scary high. Like I said, like 104 and stuff. So I didn't love that.
So our forehead thermometer, you can pull off the end of it, and it goes into the ear. And for whatever reason, I just feel more comfortable, like I'm getting a better readout from the ear because something's actually touching. But generally, they end up being like the same temperature.
Yeah. But all in all, Brandon, I think we both can agree having a sick kid is no fun for multiple reasons, emotionally and also probably for your sleep and well-being and sanity as well. So hopefully it's almost done. And I won't lie to you, even though we're talking about how much it sucks now because they can't talk to us. I've seen lots of sick kids. I don't know that it gets much better. There's things that are probably better about it. There's things that are probably worse about it. But I think up until probably your kids in high school, you're having a sick kid's not fun. And usually, if you have a sick kid, other people get sick too.
Kelsey would probably listen to this and argue that I'm no fun to be around when I'm sick.
I know I'm
my
not.
Man colds.
I know I'm not. I'm a horrible sick person. I will fully admit that.
Yeah. But I mean, who likes being sick?
No.
Like,
exactly.
You know what? Men take crap because we have quote unquote man colds.
Right.
I don't even know if I should finish my thought. But bottom line is, no one likes being sick.
Right. It's like
I honed
it's like
it back in.
it's not manly to be sick, and like you're not supposed to admit that you don't feel good, and that's just like, and sometimes like when you don't feel good, like there's no winning. Like I had a horrible migraine, like I don't know if it was a week or 2 weeks ago, and I'm like trying to talk, and I'm like thinking in my head, like I literally am seeing double right now, and I'm trying to act like I'm all good. This is not right. Like this is bad. Like I legit can't drive home right now because I can't see in front of me. And then I worked until close, so that's what you do.
Gotta suck it up.
That's what you do. But let me get you with a dad joke.
Women are gonna listen to this and argue about the fact that they are popping out kids, and when that time of the month comes, they have a lot that they have to deal with too. So
and they're not whiny like we are.
That's why we get the man code stuff coming back at us.
We do.
I don't know if they're not as whiny as we are.
Sometimes Macy's not.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
She's not that whiny when she's sick, but she's also not that compassionate when I'm sick.
I'm not necessarily talking about present company like our current spouses.
That's true.
I'm just talking
in general. No, you're right. You're right. All right, Brandon. Let me hit with a dad joke. I got one. I told you it's rated G today, but I thought it was kind of funny. You ready for it?
Waiting with bated breath.
So, Brandon, actually one thing I didn't mention is that Peyton turned 10 months just 2 days ago. So she's 10-month-old now. And so her birthday's coming up.
You about to have a 1-year-old.
Yeah, I'm about to have a 1-year-old. So that means we have to have a birthday party. And I have to get her.
This is a joke.
I have to get her gifts, right?
I thought you were actually telling me something.
Well, I am. I'm telling you, she just turned 10 months. But I got to get her gifts. So do you know what I got her for her birthday? I got her a fridge. Do you know why?
Because she's your deer. She's your frigid deer.
No, I can't wait to see her face light up when she opens it.
I'm laughing. I'm not laughing at the joke. I'm laughing at the setup.
It was
because I actually fell for it. I'm like, oh yeah,
I sucked you in. I'm a storyteller.
Yeah, that's aggressive.
I'm a storyteller. I thought it was funny. Because I'm just like picturing her like little face as she opens a fridge. I think that's why I think it's funny. Light bulb comes on, it lights up.
It was a good setup. It was a solid payoff. I'm fine with it.
All right, yours was good today too. I won't even argue with you. I liked yours as well. So that's a win.
I thought you might like it.
Well, Brandon, we had 2 weeks. Have been 2 kind of crazy weeks. I think, or I hope, probably that this week goes back to a little bit of normal. We go back to our regular schedule. Our kids go back to feeling okay, and that when we're talking a week from now, that we're both talking about positive things.
You just definitely jinxed us.
Well, I know we're probably going to deal with no sleep tonight and all that good stuff, but I'm going to be positive at least while I can, and probably next week we'll sit here and tell you all that we shouldn't have been positive. But until then, if you guys haven't already, please like us on all the social media pages, all the good stuff, write reviews, tell your friends, send in requests. We appreciate hearing from each and every one of you. Also, Brandon, on a side note, I'll just mention it. It wasn't pretty. Michigan's 4-0, so that's a positive too. Our Lions are 1-1 playing tomorrow, so they might have a winning record. I think sports right now in Michigan are about as good as it gets for us in the last decade. So I'll take the W's.
As long as you're rooting for them maize and blue. Hey.
Yeah. I'm not going to mention it. I'm just going to stay away from it because they haven't played yet this year.
I've been getting harassed all day. But during that Michigan game, I was getting texted by multiple people who root for the opposite team in our state. I was getting tagged in Facebook posts. Like the game wasn't even – I wasn't never really worried in that game. But they still were coming in hot.
They were.
Man, them Gophers was looking real good today, Jerry.
Row the boat.
Oh, man.
I like it. I
can't wait for Kelsey to listen to this.
Well, Brandon, until next time, I'm Jerry, joined here by Brandon, and you've been listening to Dad Jokes. Go Blue.
Tuck coming.